how infuriating is it to go to a meeting and then halfway through you realize you don't really need to be there? What if someone had conveyed the why of the meeting to you ahead of time? Hey everyone, welcome to our How to Make Your Meetings Better training series. This first video is going to start with a radical idea, that you shouldn't hold a meeting if you don't know why you're holding the meeting. If you don't know the question that you're answering, if you don't know the outcome that you're looking for, if you don't understand what it is that should be coming out of the meeting, then you shouldn't hold the meeting until you understand those things. Think about the last meeting you went to. Do you know why you were there? Do you know what question you were answering, what the outcome was supposed to be? Did anyone address that at the beginning of the meeting? I'm gonna guess that even if it's not true for that last meeting, it's probably true for at least one of the meetings you've had in the past week. The first thing to understand is why knowing why is important and necessary. Knowing why helps you define the purpose of the meeting, but by defining the purpose of the meeting, it also helps you define who needs to be in the meeting. Little side conversations don't derail the whole discussion. Once the why has been answered, the meeting can end. So the why helps you understand the key purpose of the meeting or the key question that you're answering. From there, you can understand what the expected outcome is of the meeting. And the expected outcome can help inform the agenda, it can help inform who is actually attending the meeting, who needs to participate, and also who just needs the information after the fact, so they don't necessarily need to attend the meeting, but they need to have the information that comes out of the meeting after the fact. Let's talk about an example. Say your team is trying to create a new security policy. You need to understand what things need to be included in that new security policy. That's a good time to have a meeting. Get the people together who need to have input into what needs to be included. So the why of your meeting would be to brainstorm ideas for the new policy. The key question would be, what needs to be included in this policy? And your expected outcome would be a short list of ideas that need to be included. From there, you can go into planning how to actually write the policy. I always recommend that people who are planning these meetings include the why, the expected outcome, or the key question that you're answering in the meeting invite so that people can determine if they're really necessary for the meeting or if they just need to get the information later. This helps prevent people from attending meetings that they really don't need to be in. It also means that the people who are in the meeting should be paying attention, participating, and you're less likely to have people who are there but kind of multitasking and doing other things because you told them ahead of time what the meeting is about, so they're unlikely to show up if they really don't need to be there. I know some people like to include agendas in their meeting invites. I personally don't like putting agendas in meeting invites because the agenda could change as the conversation flows. I like to keep my meetings very fluid so that conversations can flow naturally. It's up to you to determine if that makes sense for you in your meetings. I do think that you at least need to include why the meeting is happening and what the expected outcome is in order for people to make educated decisions around whether or not they need to attend. I also recommend articulating the why, the key question, and the expected outcome at the beginning of the meeting because that will help reinforce that you have the right audience, the right participants, and that if anyone didn't maybe read the meeting invite, might have the opportunity to drop off if they don't need to be in that discussion. You can also refer back to the why to keep the meeting on track. If people start going off on tangents or discussing things that aren't really necessary for the conversation that you need to have to answer the why, then you can refer back to why the meeting is actually happening and table those side discussions for another time if they're still important. So to recap, it's important to understand why you're having the meeting before you even start planning it and start figuring out attendees. By understanding the why, that will help you define what the key question is that the meeting is answering and also help you to be able to articulate what the expected outcome is. By understanding why the meeting is happening and what the expected outcome is, that will help you to understand who needs to be there versus who just needs the information later. I would also encourage you to go look at your calendar and see what meetings you have on there and see if you understand why the meeting is happening or what the expected outcome is. And the answer can't be, well, we meet every week. That's not a why, that's not an expected outcome. You should really understand why the meeting is happening so that you know whether or not to devote your time to it. And if you don't know why the meeting is happening, reach back out to the person who organized it and see if they can answer the question. If they can't, maybe you can discuss canceling a meeting. And who wouldn't want to have less meetings on their calendars? Something to keep in mind when you schedule your next meeting.